Alright, welcome back. So, we've got another fight card coming up. Gane versus Tuivasa. Should be interesting. As usual, certain fights will skipped, and I'm try to keep this as compressed as possible. Right, so for the first fight, we got Stephanie Egger versus Eileen Perez, right? Eileen Perez. Okay, so I feel like this fight was set up, so I should know the person who is sort of blacked out, but I'm not drawing blanks. Again, I don't really do much that in-depth research. I usually go off for instincts. So, but it might change in the future. So bear with me, right? But regardless, I think Stephanie should be able to get away with this one, right? Because my initial instinct was that she was a striker, but I think she maybe does some judo, but she have jiu-jitsu under her belt as well, and she's sort of known for setting up submissions and things like that. So that might be the case for her, right? But anyways, I feel confident in going with Edgar. Not saying that it's going to be an easy fight, but I feel Edgar's experienced enough to do her thing. Alright, so for the next fight, we got Khalid versus Quinones. Let's say Christian. I don't know why I keep on trying to pronounce the last names. But I do not know much about Christian, but I do know Taha is dangerous. So I'm curious to see where this fight goes, though. But yeah. But I'm sticking with Khalid. Khalid is just pretty dangerous overall, so I don't really expect a crazy upset of some kind, right? Khalid Taha is a solid dude, basically. Alright, now we got, let's just say Dennis versus Gabriel. Do not know too much about Gabriel. Again, like, I am terrible with names, so if I can't see the face, I probably won't even know the person, even if I've seen them fight like 3-4 times, right? So I'm just terrible with names, so I'm not really sure what to expect from this fight. Next up is we got Imhoff versus Buckley, right? This should be interesting. I can't immediately pick who I expect to win in this one, right? Because both are strikers, and I like how Buckley fights. Buckley fights like I don't want to use Tyson, but he fights like a person who is trying to finish the fight, but he doesn't get tired, which is very interesting, right? Because usually you have point fighters, you have counter fighters, right? You have like bruisers? But people who fight with power, right? Buckley, I don't consider Buckley to be that type of fighter to fight purely with power, but he's more like he's like a what do you call it? A restrained power fighter, where he fights to hurt people, right? But he doesn't do it with 100% energy, right? Like he uses intent-based striking, basically striking with the intent to hurt, but not putting his entire power into it. Like he sort of is paced in his power fighting style. What I remember from Imhoff. Right? What I remember from him is that dangerous type of striker, right? He's that type of striker that, like, he would be a point fighter if his strikes weren't so dangerous, right? Yeah, so like what I like to call these fighters, like they have like these strikes that cut, right? Basically strikers that they hit you accurate, and they hit you in ways that just really damage you, right? So I think that's the case for I'm not really sure this is gonna go because Buckley has the potential to take him out, but I think he has the counter striking enough to put Buckley in more danger overall, right? So I personally want to go with Buckley, but there's a solid chance Imam might be able to find that string and separate or cut Buckley from his consciousness more than Buckley has a chance to knock him out. So Imam for the bet, Buckley for me, I guess. Next up we got Gane versus Tuivasa. And these names, man, I guess it's Paris, France, so a lot of French and different country based fighters are in here. Do not know much about the opponent, so yeah, I feel confident enough in saying that Zaim should be able to do his thing, right? Because he's a more of a point-based fighter, right? Like I guess he has a point-based fighting discipline to the way he fights, right? Bad structure in the wording earlier, but you get my drift, right? So I expect him to be safe, strike, get out of the way, keep on striking, try to stay away from takedowns. I don't know if his opponent is a grappler, but that's basically the idea, right? So I do expect Zayn to be really strict in the way he fights since he's coming off of a loss, but you know, such is life. We got Dustin. We got Dustin versus Abos Magomedov. Yo, these names are giving me the work. From Russia, obviously. I do know Dustin, I think. I can't remember if he looks like he's grappling heavy. I've seen him fight. I just can't remember if he's more a grappler or a striker, right? So I don't really have much expectation in terms of what I expect to see from this fight, most because even though I do not remember, I'm not sure who this person is, which is Magomedov. Chances are they're heavy grapplers, right? There's only been a few Magomedovs and Russian-based fighters I've seen who go striking instead of grappling, right? And they're generally all solid grapplers, regardless of what they mainly do. So it might be a grappling affair, right? So I do not know who to win, right? If you see Magomedov or anything Dov, and it's from Russia, it's gonna be a tough fight. And I do not know Dustin enough to even guesstimate how well this fight is gonna be, right? So that's one of the strange cases. And now we got Jourdain versus Wood. Now this fight is quite the brain teaser, if you will. Randy Brown did do a breakdown, he actually knows enough and did his own research to understand that as much as Jourdain is super dangerous, and I really consider him extremely dangerous, right? Nathaniel Wood actually has the sharpness, right, the precision to actually give Jourdain problems, right? Because Jourdain is a fucking storm, right? This dude gets after you and tries to hit you and hurt you in any possible way he can, and he does not stop, right? Like, he has made himself a nightmare matchup for everybody, every freaking person in the division, right? But Nathaniel, on the other hand, I believe it, man. He has the boxing. His boxing is very solid, right? Personally, I don't think Nathaniel can steal to the way of everything, right? But that being said, Nathaniel might be using tactics in terms of how he approaches his fight, right? maybe stay away from the left side. Granted, I do not know specifics in terms of how Jordan fights, right? But these are examples in terms of stay away from the left side, right? So never circle to the left side, right? Do not throw, like, right straights, because it can be countered with overhands or whatever, right? These are just general guesses, right? But point being, it could be these tactics. If for people like Jordan, I think if you use certain tactics, you can really get ahead in the fight, right? But Randy Brown, he said that you could expect a very you could expect an upset of some kind in this fight. I'm looking forward to see what happens. All right, and then we got Makdessi versus Hasbro. No, you see, because where Makdessi is, right? I'm always going to be rooting for him, right? And he recently came back to life, man. Like he single-handedly revived his career in his last win, bro. It was crazy. So Haqparast, on the other hand, dude is just a problem, right? He's generally a problem for everybody. Personally, I only say Haqparast, like, unless Makdessi catches him with a kick, Nasrat, he's probably gonna take out Makdessi. To be honest, man, like, I don't want it to happen, but it's a strong possibility. I don't see Makdessi like being able to weather the storm long enough, because Nasrat he's sort of like this freaking like machine gun, right, of power and torque, just swinging punches, winging them, right? Not on technical winging, but he throws things out, and he puts, okay, I said he commits to a lot of punches, right? And I don't know if Makdessi can keep out of the way of every one of them, right, long enough to do his own thing. So my heart says Makdessi, but my mind says Haqparast. Should be a fun fight regardless. And then we got the Kiriko versus Kopylov. Again, I'm not familiar. I think Kopylov, right? I think he just came into the UFC, maybe 2 fights ago, right? So, but they're both coming off a loss. No, Alessio he can get caught. Right? Let me say that he can get caught. Right? I do not know what Kopylov does to identify if he can catch him. But the Kiriko otherwise is a solid fighter. I do not know what to expect. But I guess a safe bet might be Alessio. If I saw the odds, I may be able to make a better decision, right? In terms of potential danger level and things like that, but I'll go with the Kiriko for this one. I have no idea what to expect though. Then we got Whitaker versus Vettori. This one is interesting, right? Factoring on everything else, what I'm trying to men's is what does, I know what Whitaker's gonna do, right? What does Vettori do in this situation? That's what I'm trying to find out. Because if Vettori can put, like, I don't think the things that Vettori does is going to work on Whitaker. That's what I'm thinking, man. So I think he has to do something else, right? He has to do something else. It's just a dangerous fight. You see me? Damn. But if Whitaker is able to put him back, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be good for Whitaker. It's going to be bad for Vettori. If, like I say, if Vettori win this fight, like, I think it's going to be one of the biggest boosts in his career. You see me? But I don't really see him being able to do it though. Not against Whitaker, right? I can't see him winning. Like, I can't see. I think Whitaker will be able to use his tactics along with his power and just push him back. I don't see Vettori winning this at all, right? Unless he completely changes something he does, right? Or a few other things he does, he's not going to win this fight at all. I don't see him winning this fight. But that's just me. But it should be a fun fight regardless, right? And I enjoy Whitaker being able to impose his will throughout the fight. Alright? So Whitaker, my heart and my mind say Whitaker. Alright? And then we got Gane versus Tuivasa. No. From what we've learned, right? History tells us, without a doubt, that Gane should be able to beat fighters like Tuivasa, right? I'm basically thinking it's gonna be the same thing in terms of like he's gonna move around, right? Gane's not really gonna get tired, and as a matter of fact, I think Gane will be able to hurt Tuivasa, right? Might be able to put him away. You see me? But I think Gane is gonna do his research. Gane is gonna be prepared. He's gonna come in, right? Get Tinder moving backwards, get Tuivasa moving backwards, and then touch him up a few times, get back out, right? Anytime Tuivasa tries to get a bit aggressive, he moves away, probably comes back in with some things like that, right? It's not going to be boring, that's for sure. Yeah, to be honest, now that Tuivasa does have the potential to touch him, but I don't see Gane leaving himself open for that. That's pretty much the case, man. I don't see, unless Tuivasa like is able to like really get his movement, get his footwork going for this fight, I don't see him being able to reach Gane in that way at all, right? That's it, man. Unless he's able to really stop Gane's footwork, which I don't think Tuivasa will be able to do that, right? I don't think Tuivasa will be able to like stop the footwork of Gane like that, right? So it's more feasible for me to think of Tuivasa working on his own footwork than trying to limit Gane's footwork, right? If he has worked on his own footwork and built it up to a certain point, then yes. Then maybe he can get himself into a position where he's a problem to Gane, but that's a stretch. But out of trying to stop Gane's footwork versus getting his own footwork, although it seems easier to stop Gane's footwork, I don't think it'd be more feasible for Tuivasa to work on his own footwork, right? But I don't think you can get any of them high enough for it to be a place where you can actually limit Gane like that, right? So my heart and my mind tells me Gane is gonna lock this one down, right? But hey yo, like, I'm interested to see how it happens, if he can turn back the tide, right? I won't say there's one possibility, and there are times when Gane does get aggressive, right? Aggressive than he should, right? In some of the old fights that I've seen, some of the highlights, maybe no, some of the fights I actually went back some time ago and watched a few of the fights prior to the UFC, and there were times where he was hella aggressive, and when I say he got caught, I'll say he got hit clean while he was being aggressive, but he didn't show any signs of being hurt by it, but he did get hit clean while being aggressive. So unless that happens, unless he decides to get aggressive at some point during the fight, a little bit too aggressive, and then that's where he gets caught, then maybe. But from my observation, Gane usually does that with certain opponents, meaning he usually only gets that aggressive based on the opponent he's fighting. So I want to say, like, if he has he mentally evaluates the fighter and look at the things they do, and based on what they do and what he knows of them probably prior to the fight, prior to like in training camp or whatever, he identifies that, okay, then this is a fight I can get a little bit loose with when I get the person breathing a little bit, or when I get the person going back, right? Going back, sort of coiling up, because they tend to not strike, they tend to not fight back if they're starting to go backwards, you see me? Or they start to breathe a little bit. These are the things that I think he evaluates before and during the fight to see if he can let loose a little bit at certain points, respectively to the opponents, right? But that's pretty much it, man. Right? I do expect Gane to take this and enjoy the fights, baby.